You're such an asshole.
We have an interesting question, and I have an interesting answer over at assholeconsulting.com because for once this requires my economics. I have to economics today. Look, holy cow, look, this is a rare instance. I'm glad we're filming this. This is maybe the first time in the history of liberal arts majors where something you learn in the liberal arts was actually paid for willingly by a client. Can you imagine that? Look at that. First time a liberal arts person got paid. I majored in finance, but I did take economics classes, which is considered liberal arts. So don't major in economics, kids. Cappy, can you discuss the balance between maintaining liquidity and avoiding sovereign risk, i.e. government confiscation and wealth taxes when it comes to individuals holding assets, particularly in Western countries? Stocks and bonds have the benefit of being very liquid, but the risk of easily being confiscated by out-of-control governments. Houses have the benefit of being difficult for the government to confiscate, but they're illiquid and property taxes continue to rise at unprecedented rates in certain locations. What are the considerations men and women? What about the women? Should be aware of when deciding how to best allocate their wealth. All right, couple things here. And there a couple things have come online recently. Let's talk about what I think is one of the more interesting one, maybe not the most guaranteed one, but the most interesting one, and that is cryptocurrency. I think cryptocurrency is probably the foolproofiest, if there is such a thing, although they did confiscate some terrorists' Bitcoin not too long ago. I think that's probably your best tool to get wealth out of a country on account that it is digital and the government really can't confiscate unless they have their username and password. Right. So, and I think this is why I recommend it be part of everybody's investment portfolio, a little bit of it, because you don't want to be that. Yeah, we had to escape the United States because they're hating on Christian white people. And we're the modern day Jews. And I came to the new United States with $3 in my pocket. You'd ideally like to have a couple years worth of living in. So, not to mention, you like to get most of your wealth out of a country that's trying to confiscate. So when India started doing capital controls on gold, Vietnam did some capital controls, Venezuela. Why don't you go back and see what happened to cryptocurrency? See what happened. Because it's a way, okay, maybe you only get 80 or 50% of your money out. You know, cryptocurrency goes like this. Maybe you sell it for a lot less than when you get to the new country, but at least you got some out. So I always recommend having a little bit of cryptocurrency. And by the way, if Ocasio-Cortez ever becomes president and they start implementing wealth taxes and things like that, you can expect the price of cryptocurrency to go up because people are all going to be buying into it to get their money out of the United States or whatever country tries to steal it from them. Another thing you could do is you get a foreign bank account. That is increasingly hard as an American because most foreign banks don't want to deal with all the regulations that implies. Now, there are some banks out there that are interested in doing it. I'd recommend checking out Andrew Henderson, Nomad Capitalist. I also recommend Sovereign Man. And they'll talk about even Matt Forney. He has experience in finding banks that'll take Americans, but you got to go and have a bank that is willing to take you. But not only do you need to have a bank that is willing to take you, and you can make deposits. I mean, you go ahead, like for example, I think Subscribestar allows you to deposit money in foreign countries. So you can now you got to deposit into a foreign bank that will take Americans, but you got to make sure that that bank is not under the influence of the United States, namely through FACTA. And FACTA ostensibly is preventing money from drug lords and terrorists and all that. But it can also be used for tax evasion, should be used for tax. And we're not talking about tax evasion. We're talking about we're getting our money out of the country because we're leaving the country because you're a bunch of fucking Nazi commies, which are the same thing. No, they're not. Shut up. So you may have to, depending on the bank, you may have to declare to the IRS you have a bank account overseas. But the real issue is whether that bank or the country will fall under pressure from the United States to go and open up, say, give us your money. And that can happen. You say, well, how can that happen? That's a foreign bank in a foreign country. It doesn't answer to the United States. Well, you're right. But if the country holds U.S. bonds, which some of them do, not to mention the U.S. military might be there, the United States say, hey, those bonds you got or those U.S. stocks you got, those QSIP numbers, yeah, you're not getting your dividend payments. You're not getting your interest payments from all those billions of dollars of U.S. securities you happen to own until you give us that person's account information and the money. They can also do the same thing with banks. Banks will go ahead. They might hold some kind of U.S. securities, stocks, bonds, whatever. And the United States federal government could say, oh, I understand you're a foreign bank in a foreign country. We have no legal jurisdiction over you, but something tells me you're going to give me Aaron's money out of his private account there. Why? Because if you don't, I'm going to make sure that you don't get any dividend or interest payments from any U.S. securities you own. And based on the QSIP numbers, or our hackers found out that you have $5 billion. And that's a lot more money than what, a 3% interest rate on that's a lot more than what Aaron Clary has in the bank. And sometimes they'll capitulate. So again, cryptocurrency might be something that you do. I mean, once you get out and you want to renounce your citizenship of any country, all right, then you say, no, I'm a citizen of Bulgaria or wherever. You have that too. Then there's the mattress, hiding things in the mattress. And you don't really hide things in the mattress as much as it's like gold and silver. Well, you can buy bullion or buy into bullion in private vaults that, in theory, for every dollar of investment, you are entitled to $1 of silver. They go buy in silver and you have access to this silver. There's some vaults in Canada, I think Australia, other places as well. I'm sure Swiss banks allow this service. So basically a very large safety deposit box where you can put your money, but you don't want to put it in the United States banks because they're owned by the federal government. Basically say, hey, do what we tell you. We're just going to take it anyway. Ask people about gold in 1935 with that wonderful Democrat, FDR. He just gave everybody so much money, and that so ended the Great Depression so quickly. So you got to have gold. Now you can have it in a vault. You could bury it. Its main thing is getting it out of the country. But, how do you carry, you're going to have to resort to gold because it can carry a little bit of it, but it carries a lot of wealth. Silver, you're going to have to carry pounds of the stuff, hundreds of pounds, arguably. So yeah, that there. But the trick is you got to get out of the borders, the sovereign reach of whatever government you're trying to escape that you're afraid is going to start stealing your wealth. And then what else was the other? Oh, and this is the one I recommend in Bachelor Pad Economics. By the way, you could get this. It's a very good and thorough book, 500 pages, all that right there, Bachelor Pad Economics. This is what I recommend every young man have, or every old man, every girl, have skills. So that if you go over, okay, I got to go over to Poland now, but I can fix a diesel engine. Well, you're not going to starve. I got to move to Vietnam, but I can program Python. Well, you're not going to starve. And so what you want to do is you want to make sure you have good skills, because that is where all future economic production comes from. This is what communists don't understand, is they think they literally think the food just shows up. They literally think all the goods and services in the world, they just show up. Well, when people with the skills and the talent who actually make the goods and services, they aren't like, socialist Marxist professors just sit there and their entire job literally is, we deserve other people's money. That doesn't make milk. That doesn't make paper. That doesn't grow wheat. That's why there's usually no food in communist countries, because you've disincentivized at best most of the producers of the world to leave or not to work, or you've killed them, or you've thrown them in jail. And so if you could get out, Werner von Braun, he didn't have a problem finding a job in the United States. Look at him. He left. Like, hey, you want to put a guy on the moon? Do you? Huh? Well, who do you know wants to buy a rocket? That's an Ernie von Schledorn joke. None of you are going to get that. So those are the things you got. Yeah, but it's really, you got to get overseas, man. I guess another thing you do is you trust some people and you give them a ton of money. Say, hey, hold on to this for me in case I get, that's really the thing. But your skills in getting your money out of a country before they decide to confiscate it and put it somewhere where the United States or whatever country you're trying to escape doesn't have still the political power to get it anyway. But I think we're at least 10 to 12 years, maybe even 20 years before we start seeing a wealth tax happening. So there you go. What we got? Any super chats? We got Atham with his super sticker. He's just doing this to irk me. 99 cents for a super sticker. Oh. That it. Boom. Questions answered. Consulting. Oh, by the way, October is Help a Black Man Out of Poverty month. This is how I'm going to help Black Lives Matter, by actually helping black men get out of poverty. Get that book. There you go. See you guys later. Toodles.